Hey everyone, grace and peace. This is Charles here with your Midweek Recharge. Do you guys start to say that along with me? Maybe you do. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm hoping you say that along with me because you watch so much. Who knows? I'm really excited to connect with you this week because this week I want to talk about strength and weakness. Now, it's going to sound very similar because recently we talked about blessing and sorrow, strength and weakness, blessing and sorrow. Like, what, you got kind of a theme going on here, Charles? Well, actually, yeah, we do have a theme. We're continuing to follow the theme of communication that Paul was using with the believers across the region. And more recently, we've been focusing on the communication between Paul and the new believers in the city of Corinth. And as Paul is ending his communication, or at least the recorded communication that we have access to, what's called the second letter to the Corinthians. In reality, it was actually the fourth letter if you've attended or tuned in to previous Midweek Recharge or our Sunday sessions for connecting, available at youtube.com and myconnectedchurch.com. You will know that there were several correspondence communication between Paul and the believers in Corinth, and what we call 2 Corinthians is actually the fourth letter that Paul wrote to those believers. And as he's wrapping the letter up, he's encouraging them to recognize and appreciate the opportunity that comes from difficulty. Now, he wasn't doing it necessarily to inspire or encourage their faith. It's actually really interesting. The context in which Paul describes a litany of the adversity and the trial, the difficulty that he faced, is a part of his communication with the believers, where he's describing the ways in which he could boast about his credentials, his qualifications, his background, his experience. But instead, rather than doing what some of the false teachers have been coming to town to do, and brag on how great they are, Paul takes a different approach and instead chooses to brag on all the ways in which he's dealt with adversity and difficulty, all the ways in which he's suffered and failed and made mistakes and had to endure trial and hardship. A very strange thing to boast about. But what he learned during those trials and those hardships and that adversity is that every time he was really weak, God was strong. So my challenge to you this week is to identify, reflect on, consider those occasions and opportunities where you didn't succeed, where maybe you messed up. Was God showing you strength? Was there a lesson to be learned in that situation? Are you able to learn more from your failures than your successes? Let that be your recharge.